Yet again, I've gone through dozens, maybe even hundreds of home screens submitted. I've picked out the very best, and let's get into it. My name is Taylor Martin, you're watching XDA TV, and this is the Homescreen Critique. Before we get started, I want to say that last week there was a ton of interest in the home screen that I showed off last from user WYT18 over in the XDA forums. It was one of the coolest, most customized home screens I think I've ever seen, and there was a ton of interest both in the video on the page itself and in the forums. There are instructions for how to do it. People asked me, I didn't know. He finally responded, and you can go there and check that out. Anyway, the first submission comes from XDA user Dark Emotion, and there's not a ton of customization here. You can see that the status bar is pretty stock. There are some custom icons there, and then in the nav bar, those are different nav buttons. Instead of having a hollow center, they're a solid fill. So the triangle, circle, and square are solid white. If I were to try to recreate this myself, I would say that find a cool wallpaper that you like and then put just a red bar at the top and bottom. And I imagine the opaqueness of the status bar and the nav bar, depending on what launcher you use, would give it the effect of having a two-tone red at the top and bottom. I think that's all that's been done here. I could be wrong, but I think that's all that's been done. And then the only other thing is a widget, and it is a weather widget, and it's called Weather Timeline. I really like the weather widget. It looks very material or flat. It's very Android, and I like the wallpaper. I like this layout. I would just do a little more customization to kind of push it over the top, because it's just very basic for me, not quite enough utility. These are very basic apps. The stock camera app, Chrome, messages, dialer, Gmail, I imagine, and then he has hidden something behind the thumbprint or fingerprint. I imagine that's probably the app drawer. I would give it 3.5 stars on design, and on utility, I'd probably give it 3, because it does have a widget there. There are probably the most important apps for this person in the dock at the bottom. Yeah, I think it's a solid home screen. The next home screen comes from XDA user Splendid SRV, and it's a 4-parter, which, obviously right off the bat from someone who lives and breathes the first order of retrievability is a little bit of a ding on its utility, but it stands out because it is unique, and I haven't seen anything like it before. Not that it's like over the top custom, it's just clever, and I like the wallpaper. I like how it's done. This is a wallpaper from Backdrops, and it's a castle that has kind of that Monument Valley style art, which I really, really like. It reminds me of a castle you'd see or a structure you'd see in Monument Valley. But there are 4 screens, each only has one widget, or I guess a widget and an icon on the first one. It's a Zooper widget with things like your date, time, the temperature and weather, and then your battery status, which is cool. It's all text, so you have to read it, but the important information is in green, and the non-important filler text is in white. It matches the grass and the sky, which is cool. And then there's an icon at the bottom that says dope. That's just an icon that leads you to an expense tracker. The icons across the bottom are cool. I like that they're not all round or triangle. They're slightly different shapes. I don't know what all of them are. I do like the way the dock looks. If you swipe over, you actually get to the month calendar widget, but then on the next page is a weather widget called Amber Weather Widget. Reminds me a lot of the Eye in the Sky weather widget. And then on the last one is a to-do widget. I imagine that getting to the app drawer is a swipe up, or hitting the home button or something to that degree. What would be even cooler is seeing it with a wallpaper like Material Islands. Like if this wallpaper were to change with the time of day, that'd be really cool. But I just like the style of this. It's very themed without being over the top, and very clean, and has just exactly what he needs, or she, I don't really know, here on the home screen. And I like it. I would give it a 4 on design and probably a 4 on utility. The 4 pages does kind of hurt just because you have to swipe just to get to another widget. And that to me kind of defeats the purpose of a widget, because it's supposed to be glanceable information, but you have to swipe 3 times to get to the task list, or 2 to get to the weather, which your weather is on the front. You don't have a forecast there, but you have to swipe twice to see the forecast rather than just tapping something. So I would say 4 on design and I guess 4 on utility. The last submission comes from a user whose home screen was actually featured in the last video, and I normally wouldn't do something like that, but I went through dozens of pages in the thread in XDA forums where all these are submitted, and Ogre Dell has been very, very busy. There have been several submissions since the last video, and I don't want to know how much time he puts into changing up his home screens every week, but this one in particular jumped out at me. As you can tell just by looking at it, he's using custom live wallpaper again. This time he's using the G-Card plugin. I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but you can tell just based on the style that it's custom live wallpaper. The home screen here at the top, there is the time. It says the time now is, and then you have the time. My problem with it is that it's a little redundant. It's kind of implied that the left 2 digits are the hours, then you have minutes, seconds, and AM or PM. But it has that label underneath, and the label beneath PM is now, which is a little weird. But below that, you have a search bar, you have a calendar widget, and then you have a card with the time, and then you have a little status information. It shows your home screen indicator, which one you're on, one of the 2, and then you have unplugged, which is a battery indicator, which is a little off center, kind of throws me for a loop. I don't know what the plus sign is either. But there are arrows indicating that there are other home screens. If you swipe to the left, I imagine, just based on how this looks, you get to this status page that'll tell you, again, battery information, and then has shortcuts to all your social stuff. I don't know what the circle button does in the lower right. And on the main page, I don't know what the hamburger button does. There are a lot of mysteries here, but I do like the way it looks. And I have to say, that my favorite color combination of any color combination in the world is orange and gray, so I'm a little biased. But he did take note of the pop of color. This one is a little more inviting than the last one, and I just really like it. If you swipe over to the right page, you have a music widget that shows the artist and song, then you have play controls with volume controls as well, and then you also have a waveform, and it just looks really cool. He's done a lot of work here to make this look so clean and not at all like it's made, aftermarket. This looks like something that could ship on a phone. Maybe not the leftmost page with the social icons and everything, but the other 2 pages look like something that would come on a phone, maybe like an Android competitor that doesn't use Android or something. But I really like it, and I don't have anything really truly negative to say. I'd give it probably, I'd say 5 out of 5 on appearances, and probably 4.5 out of 5 on utility, just because there are 3 pages and it's kind of scattered. You'd have to kind of use it to get that muscle memory. If you need to get to anything, you're gonna have to swipe a few times or tap or search or open an app drawer. So there's nothing that's really there for first order of retrievability other than time, calendar, weather, and music. But that's going to do it for this home screen critique. If you'd like to submit your own to be featured in a future video, hit the link in the description below and go to the XDA forums and post your home screen there. I look there. I also get submissions on Twitter and on the post on XDA. So you can submit it wherever I guess is most convenient for you. But if you found this video helpful and enjoyed it, be sure to hit the thumbs up button below. Don't forget to subscribe to XDA here on YouTube and find XDA in all your favorite places. And of course, you can find more of me on my own channel at Mod at Home, where I cover some more DIY gear stuff that's not necessarily technology related all the time. And then, of course, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Casper Tech. And one last time, my name is Taylor Martin, and I will see you in the next one.